for that two deep with Zanders and Thornton and Charleston and Turner, those guys that you got coming back?
Well, they're here, so they're going to have the opportunity this spring, so that helps them for sure. But let me tell you, we knocked it out of the park with these guys we got. Our roster is very good. Obviously, having Nolan back, and now you throw in Zanders and Charleston, and we redshirted Ray and Jalen Phillip. We hit on all those guys. All those guys can play, all of them. I mean, we're really, really fortunate with the group that we have, and now you throw in Mickens and T-Bone, man, you got a group right there. So we're going to be just fine. Same thing at corner.
Coach, DeMarcus Bowman is named Mr. Football in Florida today. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Oh, that happened today?
Yes, it happened today.
Yeah, he's special. I mean, he's another version of Spiller. That's kind of what when I first put my eyes on him, and that's pretty high praise, And he's a long way from that, but as far as just high school tape and explosiveness and track speed, legit track speed, the ability to catch the football, every time he touches it, he literally can, go the distance, could return and those type of things. I mean, I think there's a lot of similarities between the two, coming out of high school. He's a little thicker, probably than CJ was, but he's got that type of explosiveness, and it's easy to see, coming out of the system that he's been playing in.
Injury-wise, are there any guys that might miss the start of spring?
Well, Niles is a guy that's still nursing back his ankle, and so he's rehabbing through that. We'll know more once we get here through these next 3 weeks. But Booth we had to clean his knee up. He should be back. Might be a little limited early, but at some point he should be able to get back out there and do what he needs to do this spring. He really kind of battled through it all fall, but it was still good for him to get the experience that he got. So that'd probably be the main two. Then, as far as the guys like McClure, we know's out, and Maloney and Constantine, those guys might be able to do some individual type stuff, but nobody really knew. Nothing new that's come up other than whether or not Niles, where he's going to be with his rehab schedule.
Blake Vincent, someone you hope can play this spring.
Yeah, and I think Blake. I don't know if he'll be cut loose for the spring, but I do think he'll be able to get a significant amount of work, football work, football movement type work. I don't know that he'll be cut loose to go scrimmage, but hopefully he'll be able to get back into the groove of football and just the footwork and some drills and things like that. Snapping, he's a guy that one of those guys that we've cross-trained, so we're hopeful.
What was some of the feedback Travis got as far as what he needs to improve on?
I'm not going to get into all that. I mean, it's pretty nitpicky if you ask me. If I was in the draft this year, he'd been my guy if I needed a running back. I know there's other great running backs out there, but he's pretty special. But we'll talk about those things. We've talked about them, and then we'll go through spring, and we always do exit interviews April, May, and we'll talk about some specific things that they need to do, but not going to get into all the stuff that's reported because it's pretty detailed. But from a big picture standpoint, he just needs to continue to be consistent, just continue to be a complete player in every aspect of it. And I think he's done that. I mean, he just needs to just stay the course.
When you look at the way that y'all have recruited the D-line over the past several years, what's been the biggest key, you think, to that?
Well, evaluation. I mean, I think that's the big key. We've been on the right guys, and really not just the last couple of years, really since I've been the head coach. I think. I mean, I just think our ability now to go and 10 years ago we weren't going to go get Brian Brzee. 10 years ago we weren't going to get Christian Wilkins. So we've had to really evaluate well, and Grady Jarrett. We've had, and then development. Grady, Deshaun, Josh Watson, Miguel, Malachi, Shaq. We've had some Dodd. Dodd was a guy I don't even think anybody even knew who he was, and he was a great player. And Vic was a developmental guy. So, I think we had to really evaluate well. And, occasionally we got the guy that everybody wanted, but not all the time. So evaluation and development has been our key. And then as we've had success, we've been able to get more of a finished product type of a guy. A Christian Wilkins, a Dexter Lawrence, Andre Branch. I go back to Andre. Andre was a 2-star recruit. So that's the biggest difference is just the guys. A lot of these guys coming in now. Now we took 2 developmental guys last year in Rook and Et. Really high potential guys, but they only played football their junior and senior in high school. They were soccer players and basketball players, but high potential. So, but definitely developmental. And some of these guys now that we're signing, they're just much further along when you watch them. And, that's why everybody in the country is recruiting them. Is they're just kind of guys that can, like a Christian, like a Dexter, who can pretty much help you the day they show up. So that's the biggest difference. Our evaluation is still critical. Our development is still critical, but we're just, where we are brand-wise, we're just attracting more of a finished guy.
Y'all are really off and running for 2021 already. How seamless has the transition been with Coach Bates taking over that role, and how much do you think Coach Streeter will kind of enjoy not having as many responsibilities as far as that?
Oh, Todd's been great. He's a natural, but listen, Jordan Sorrells, you got to start there. Jordan and now he's running our recruiting. He's the director of recruiting, and Jordan just does an amazing job, as does Ty Clements and Lindsay. That's kind of our group back there. They've done a great job, but the transition, of Streeter and Todd has been seamless. And Todd's just he's a perfect fit for that role. He's passionate about our program and the way we do things and identifying the right guys. So it's been good. It's been really good. Off to a good start, and like I said, it won't be as big a class this year. We're going to probably be in that 15 to 18 range. Right now, again, the roster can change, but that's looks like where we're going to be.
What was your overall evaluation of the receivers in the 2 playoff games?
The receivers did fine. Made. I didn't think we played great against Ohio State. I didn't think we had some good moments. I thought we played a lot better against LSU, but we just missed some plays that were there. We just didn't make them. We just missed them for whatever reason. And but they did good. They did solid. You're playing elite guys, and a very small margin for error. And we had some good plays. It was a tough break on T at the end of the game. That's a play that a lot of times doesn't get called, and sometimes it does, and it was one of those sometimes. So you just live with it, But there was a lot. There was a lot more there. We didn't do a good job on third down. Is the biggest thing. Probably should have been at least 5 of 11 on third down. And if you're 5 of 11 on third down, well, that's just the style. The game is different, the flow of the game. And even with that, we had a shot. It's a 3-point game in the third quarter, and you get that touchdown to T. It's 10-point game right there, and there's a lot can happen. But we just didn't quite we just didn't have some of those winning plays that you got to make. And they did. They made them. They had plays where we were just, you couldn't be in a better spot. Right here, and the ball's right here. And so, you got to tip your hat and keep moving. But we missed some plays.
Looking back, do you feel like you leaned on the running game enough to create maybe some of the more shorter third down and distances?
No, we had a little bit of both. We again, if we're more consistent on the third down, then there would have been more there. And then all of a sudden you get in the fourth quarter and the spread is different, and probably got away from some of the base things that we do. But I don't have any regrets. I have none, zero. Just wish we could have found a way to get it done.
Dabo, you talk about those ready-made D-line guys. What about Trey Williams and what you've seen him since he's got here?
Yeah, he's y'all gonna love Trey. I don't know how many of y'all know him, but y'all will love him. Clemson people are gonna love him. I was up with his family in D.C. last week. His mom came in, and he's got his because he's been living with a host mom and dad, but they're all family and friends, and because he's from Connecticut, goes to school in D.C. At a great school up there. So awesome support group. But we just had the best time last week having dinner and hanging out. And he's got a big personality. He's a very self-aware kid, very smart, and a dynamic type player. I mean, he's got a little bit of a Christian Wilkins type of personality in that he's kind of a natural leader and things like that. But he's coming off of surgery and he's getting better. He's still got a little ways, but by summer he should be able to be cut loose full speed. But I think he's a guy that could play the nose. He could play the three technique. He can do a little bit of it all. He's got a good high football, IQ, and going to be an exciting young player.
You mentioned Logan. Did he before kind of express his interest in being an actor too?
No. I guess he expressed it with all of his videos that he makes and his alternate personalities and Coach Stiff and all that. No, that one really kind of caught me off guard. I mean, he's got 2 years of eligibility left, and he's a really good player. I mean, he's just a gritty, tough, hard-nosed player, and had a good year. But no, he just called and just said, that something he's been thinking about, and he just said, he had a blast this year. He had a lot of fun. He's got his degree, and he's kind of beat up. He's pretty beat up, and he just, he's an undersized guy at his position, so it takes a little bit of a toll. And he's an all-in guy. I mean, there's just one speed with him. In everything he does, it's just one gear. And I think for him, and again, self-awareness, and I think, knowing that he had his degree and looking ahead, and, his mindset was like, maybe I get into a practice squad situation, and that's not really what he's driven by. And he's like, I really want to move to Los Angeles and pursue an acting career. And I'm like, really? Well, that's a first. I hadn't gotten that one before. So we talked about it and had a great conversation. And I just told him, don't forget me when he gets famous. And, I said, a lot of times I played against, I guess, The Rock. I don't know if he played. I think he was maybe a red shirt or something when I was playing. But, you get that a lot. He played D-line at Miami. And so I told him, I was like, that's what everybody's going to be saying. Yeah, man, I played D-line with that guy. Or he played D-line at Clemson 20 years from now, when he's some action hero, or maybe he'll wrestle first. He'd probably be good at that too. But he's going to be successful. If that's what he wants to do, that guy right there will find a way, because that's his DNA. That's how he's wired. Reached out to his dad because I think they might have been a little surprised too, but it's just what he wants to do. And but again, that's what education and graduation should do. And this is something he just felt like, I know I want to go do this and I'm ready to go do it. There's really nothing holding me back. I've got my degree. I've had a great experience. I feel good about what he's accomplished, which is a lot. I mean, he started in the national championship game as a redshirt sophomore. So, excited for him, and we'll see what happens. So I tried to get him in touch with Jock McKissick, and he had already talked to Jock McKissick because I was like, well, let's touch base with Jock. Jock's Mr. Hollywood out there. He's done a lot of movies and different things, and he had actually already connected with him. And so I'm like, well, okay, well, there you go. That's my extension of Hollywood right there, Jock McKissick. I've got to expand my list. I don't know anybody.
right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right,
Thank you.
appreciate